NBC's presentation of NASCAR is brought to you by Pennzoil with Pure Base, made for the way you drive. Stop, go Pennzoil. By Route 66, jeans, clothes, it's not Main Street, only at K-Mart. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. And by the irresistible taste that makes you say, did somebody say McDonald's?
59 laps.
Limping.
I mean,
looking down on the Homestead-Miami Speedway as the Pennzoil 400 continues live on NBC Sports from the Bud 1 airship. For all NASCAR fans, this Bud's for you. The Bud 1 airship flying high above the Homestead-Miami Speedway, providing these spectacular aerial shots. Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR. There are the top two drivers, Bobby Labonte leading Tony Stewart, but Tony has closed it in fast as we approach another round of pit stops. It was once up to about 1.7 seconds. 5 laps later, it's down to 0.4 seconds, just a handful of car lengths of empty speedway between Stewart and his teammate.
Joe was telling me the other day that Tony Stewart is very, very good at these flat, slick racetracks. He came from the open wheel stuff, and every time they take him to a flat racetrack, he just really excels.
The very first year we were sitting talking with Tony, he was racing Busch for us, and he said, hey, the slicker the better. I think he has a real good feel from spending so much time on dirt. He raced a lot of dirt, and there, as you know there, Alan, that rear end gets away, you know, Mike, and those guys are used to that feel, and so a slick racetrack doesn't bother them.
No, not at all. And this is where you got to have a lot of car control. You got to be real gentle with the gas pedal. You got to understand just what the car is gonna take, and he seems to have adapted to it extremely, extremely well.
Closing in is Stewart. Now, we have to see how far Bobby and Tony can stay on the racetrack on this tank of fuel, because as you see with 84 laps to go, they're closing in on the point where if they can stretch this one a little bit farther, they can make the finish on this next pit stop on a tank of fuel. Now, we've seen the leaders run about 68, 69 laps on a tank of fuel here. Oh, one car up the racetrack in the corner into the outside wall. Michael Waltrip bouncing the right side of the machine off the concrete. He keeps on rolling, and we will stay under the green flag. No caution flag so far.
What you've seen happen there, Alan, unfortunately, got in the corner a little too hard. It doesn't look like a tire went down at this time. We'll look at it when it comes around a little bit more, but just got in, kind of got what they call in the marbles, out of the groove.
Caution on the speedway. Another car in trouble in turn 2. Ricky Rudd has just bounced off the outside wall. Similar situation to what you just saw from Michael Waltrip. First caution of the race is out at lap 185. So the yellow flag for the first time in this race, better than 250 miles in. There's the Ricky Rudd car that went up and scraped against the outside wall in turn 2. He must not have hit it hard. Maybe he didn't even hit the wall. Maybe he lost the engine or something out the back. Maybe it was some oil or something that he dropped on the racetrack. But there was a big cloud of smoke up in 2, and when I looked up, I saw him up against the outside wall and thought he might have bounced off it.
Not a good sign when those gloves come off.
Yeah, you have to tell as slow as he's coming down pit road. He's had some type of problem that's he's got his finger pointing out the window. Let me turn in the garage area, guys. I'm not going to my pit area. His day is over with whatever's caused the problem.
So Ricky Rudd's hope to extend his streak of consecutive years with a Winston Cup win to 17 is not going to happen here today at Homestead, and he's just got one race left in 1999 to try and get that done. So first caution of this race is going to give people like Mark Martin and Dale Jarrett a chance to catch up to Bobby Labonte and Tony Stewart. Not only that, it's going to give their pit crews a chance to see if they can get him some track position on the man that has dominated. Take a quick look at the 2 incidents.
What actually looks like Michael had cut down a right front tire as far as the car was going there. It was really hard to say. We didn't see come back around, but you could see entering the corner. He was 3 lanes out of, you know, he was the green front of, and here's Ricky going down the front straightaway. We'll just have to see how it plays out here. You could hear something break loose inside the motor. Yeah.
And the sound of a roaring 700 horsepower engine goes silent very quickly. Pit stops to pit road first, Dorsey Schrader.
Jeff Burton brings the car in. He's been complaining about the car being a little tight in the middle of the corner and then being loose off. The guys did last time 1.5 rounds of wedge. They're going to do the same thing again. Also, they're going to add a 1 pound of air. Now, they're getting very, very good fuel mileage. Mike?
Larry McReynolds, another one of those crew chiefs trying to stretch this the distance on only 2 stops. This caution fell absolutely perfectly for him. Let's go to Marty Snyder.
Bobby Labonte is in, and for the first time all day, this car is showing that it's maybe human just a little bit. It is a little too tight early in a run. His teammate Tony Stewart will beat him off pit road because Tony Stewart had to make no adjustments. Bobby Labonte did. They used a little bit of a wedge adjustment to try and loosen him up early in a run.
So the pit crew for Tony Stewart gets the job done fastest and gets him out with the race lead. And this caution and the timing of these pit stops also sets up a question of fuel to the finish. We are 80 laps away from the checkered flag right now, and that's probably a little bit too far for everybody to run on a tank of fuel, I think.
Well, I'm going to go with you, Alan. We haven't seen that. The farthest we've seen anybody go today is about 64, 65 laps. You know, they start the first cycle about lap 58, so we'll have to wait and see.
One thing that was interesting yesterday in the Busch race, gas mileage, 2 tires, 4 tires, splash of gas. They could definitely change the strategy here towards the end of this race.
Yeah, had an awful lot of things change around at the finish there with different teams playing around with different things. So Tony Stewart is back out with the race lead. John Andretti, this caution flag, a bad break for him. He had stopped under the green flag just a minute before the yellow came out, and that's going to put him a lap down back in 15th position.
That's an unfortunate situation. John's run so well all day, but that's the way the breaks happen. You know, I think everybody was expecting this just to be a green flag race the way it's gone this far. He had a small incident up in turn 1 with Michael Waltrip. Then Ricky Rudd, NASCAR probably might have thought there was something on the racetrack and had to get the debris cleaned up.
Besides John Andretti, also Ward Burton had stopped under the green flag before the yellow came out, so he's also going to be trapped behind. There's Andretti in now with the cars a lap or more down. Jeff Gordon, Ward Burton also in. Gordon was a lap down just because Bobby Labonte ran him down and passed him earlier under the green flag. But all of those drivers now 1 lap down, and we have, at this point, what, about 8, 9 cars on the lead lap is all we're going to have.
I'm pretty impressed. We're looking at 7th and 8th, which is Kyle Petty. We haven't talked about Kyle very much today. He's 7th with Dale Earnhardt in 8th, so guys are running very well today.
Put up on the Jerry Nadeau car under the caution flag pit stop as the teams finish up work on their machines. Caution for Ricky Rudd, who had a problem on the racetrack we suspect was engine related. Let's find out. Dorsey Schrader's with him.
I'm here with Ricky Rudd. Ricky, what happened?
Well, Dorsey, something broke in the motor. Not really sure exactly what it was. You know, I told Robert and Doug Yates, I said, give me everything you've got. I don't care if it's experimental or not. If it lives, we'll be lucky. If it doesn't, you know, we'll go for it. We need to go for it right now. Points don't really mean anything. And so they gave me something a little experimental. Unfortunately, didn't quite make the day, but we got next week.
Well, and guys, tough break for Ricky Rudd.
So Rudd out, only the 2nd car in the garage area at this point. Darrell Waltrip the other. And we work the first caution of this Pennzoil 400 here at lap 189. Mike Massaro, John Andretti back for a 2nd pit stop.
That's right, Alan. They had problems on the first stop. 1 tire got away. It appears they may be being brought in for a stop-and-go penalty, just a splash of gas, and they're away. Alan?
Take a look at what happened to Andretti's team on the pit stop. This is something that we saw happen in the NASCAR Busch Series race yesterday to one of the race teams. Here it comes.
What you're seeing is the left rear tire, or basically it was a tire of the right rear, got away from him and rolled across pit road.
And everybody else has to keep from hitting it, which would do a tremendous amount of damage to the car. What's the king think?
Oh, my God.
As a car owner, I can sit with that. I went to see Richard when I was thinking about getting in NASCAR, and I remember he looked at me and he said, why?
Yeah. So Andretti back in for the penalty, and now back onto the speedway, but has lost a whole lot of track position. Tony Stewart is the race leader, getting ready to go back to green here very shortly. Bobby Labonte, Mark Martin, and Dale Jarrett are the rest of the top 4. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.